Hello everyone, I'm Christophe Paget and welcome to your Espace News episode with a week starting from the 3rd of November, a week packed with developments by ArianeGroup, by European Spaceport, Euclid Space Telescope's first images, and we will see updates of ISRO Aditya-L1 and starbase, and we also anticipate the second flight test of starbase by SpaceX. And as always, we will review the launches this week.
In the last episode, I captured the last flight of Virgin Galactic Mission 5 as it was in the air when I released the episode. So I wanted to say that the flight went well and the three astronauts were Katie Pucci Sisti Maison Rouge, a private astronaut, Kelly Gerardi, as I mentioned last week, payload specialist and bioastronautic researcher for the International Institute for Astronautical Science in the US, and Dr. Alan Stern, planetary scientist and associate vice president in Southwest Research Institute's space sector. Just after the flight, some Virgin Galactic employees were asked to pack and leave work in an attempt to reduce the November 2nd, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Haakon of Norway officially opened the Andøya Spaceport, the future launch site of ESA Aerospace, the company I have mentioned during the last episode. Andøya Spaceport will become the next operational orbital spaceport in continental Europe. Other European spaceports are in southern Spain, where PLD launched Mura-1 on October 7th, although used for development rather than a sustainable spaceport. Esrange Space Center in Sweden, near Kiruna, has been used for space launch and testing for several decades, and Spaceport Cornwall has been built for horizontal launches, with first launch on 9th of January, and two more Scottish spaceports being built, one in Sutherland, called unsurprisingly Sutherland Spaceport, and the other one in the Shetland Islands, called Saxford Spaceport. This week was the first commissioning of Euclid Space Telescope, designed to study black matter and black energy in space. Euclid Space Mission reveals its first full color image of the cosmos. Never before has a telescope been able to create such a razor-sharp astronomical images across such a large patch of the sky and looking so far into the distant universe. Now, these 5 images you're looking at illustrate Euclid's full potential. They show that the telescope is ready to create the most extensive 3D map of the universe yet, to uncover some of his hidden secrets. So all to come. ArianeGroup released their plan to transport goods and collect space debris in a project called SUSI, standing for Smart Upper Stage for Innovative Exploration, a new and entirely reusable stage concept designed to meet the future needs of transport to or in or from space. Now, the amount of space debris in Earth orbit is constantly rising as more space trash is left behind. ArianeGroup is aiming at limiting the risks of collisions with satellites or space stations, or to protect communication networks with this SUSI vehicle. Now, last week's episode, I showed the scaled-down mock-up of SUSI being tested at ArianeGroup's facilities. SUSI would collect canisters full of space debris or other goods to send them back down to Earth. And during the ESA Space Summit 2023, ESA has reiterated the next development rocket to be Vega E rocket. Keep watching this channel if you are interested in this topic. A month ago, after a trajectory correction maneuver of about 16 seconds, the ISRO probe Aditya-L1 reached its Lagrange L1 orbit in order to study the solar flares away from Earth gravity interference. Now, during his first observation period this week, the high-energy L1 orbiting X-ray spectrometer, also called HELIOS, onboard Aditya-L1 has recorded the impulsive phase of solar flares. Now, the recorded data is consistent with the X-ray light curves provided by NASA geostationary operational environmental satellite called NOAA. HELIOS is currently undergoing fine-tuning of thresholds and calibration operations. Now, the instrument is set to monitor the Sun's high-energy X-ray activity with fast timing and high-resolution spectra. HELIOS data enables researchers to study explosive energy release and electron acceleration during impulsive phases of solar flares.
SpaceX is still to date awaiting for Fish and Wildlife Service assessment and therefore the FAA launch license for sending its second Starship flight test off. Some publications to various marine organizations indicate that the second flight test may occur anytime after the 13th of November. So let us keep our eyes peeled for such a momentum event, which I will inform in this channel. This week at Starbase very little happened. Basically, the Star Factory is still progressing, a wall is being constructed around the launch site, probably a requirement to contain any launch debris and protect outside areas. So the wall height is quite significant, probably around 5 to 6 meters and made of thick concrete. Ship number 25 has had some of its heat protection tiles replaced, indicative of launch occurring rather soon. Moreover, Booster 9 and Ship 25 were kitted with their flight termination systems.
November 3rd, China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation launched a Long March 7 with the satellite ATJ-SW10 on board from its Wenchang Space launch site in China. The satellite was a communication technology test satellite number 10 and will be mainly used for multiband and high-speed communication technology experiments. November 4th, SpaceX launched 23 Starlink V2 mini satellites to circular low Earth orbit at 530 km altitude and 43-degree inclination for its mission called Group 626 on board a Falcon 9 Block 5 from its Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The first stage landed 642 km downrange on the drone ship Just Read the Instructions for its 18th time, another record reuse. Interestingly enough, the rocket fairings have flown 13th time compared to the majority of rocket manufacturers who do not reuse. November 8th, SpaceX launches 23 Starlink V2 mini satellites to circular low Earth orbit at 530 km altitude and 43-degree inclination for its mission Group 627 on board of a Falcon 9 Block 5 from its Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The first stage landed at 612 km downrange on the drone ship Just Read the Instructions for its 11th times, and this would be the 81st launch of the year. On the 9th of November, China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation successfully launched a Long March 3B/E from its Xichang Satellite Launch Center in China. The payload was a ChinaSat 6E satellite. ChinaSat 6E entered its planned geosynchronous transfer orbit It will take over the radio and television broadcasting role of the ChinaSat 6B satellite, launched back in July 2007 and positioned at 115.5 degrees east. The launch is part of a series of replacements of aging geostationary satellites. November 10th, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 Block 5 with a Dragon Commercial Resupply Service CRS-2 mission number 29 heading to the ISS from his pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The first stage has landed for his second time, this time back at the Kennedy Space Center. This week's dream picture is from the NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope, featuring the spiral galaxy NGC 1566, sometimes called the Spanish Dancer Galaxy. It was two spiral arms that each make only a half turn from start to finish, resembling to the shape of a coma. Lanes of dark dust follow the arms into the center and split into many fibers that swirls around the glowing galactic core. Bright pink blooms along the arms show areas of new star formation. It lies around 60 million light years from Earth in the constellation of Dorado. It's time to thank you for watching your latest episode of Espace News. I wish you a lovely week and see you next week for more.
Thank you and goodbye.